So a while back, I bought some land, and the plan was not to do much with it, just hang on to it and eventually build. Well, long story short, I was kind of forced to get some kind of agriculture set up. And so my option was to get bees. You can barely see them, but they're way back there. Now, I'm a new bee owner, trying to get everything set up, doing everything on my own. So here's the plan for today. I gotta build something to hold my bee frames. I have to rig some kind of frame so I could hold the frames in place while I'm cleaning them out and, trimming the hive, making sure that the frames look nice and neat. We don't want them to just build all over and pretty much lock the frame, the box in place where I can't get to them. So the plan today is to create something to hold them. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do this morning, I gotta walk out to my honeybees. I have to measure the box just so I get a rough estimate of how wide my frame holder board has to be. That's gonna hold my, my frame holders. Now I ain't got my bee suit on, so I'm hoping these ladies, these honeybees, aren't gonna be too vicious this morning. Sometimes they could be a little aggressive. As long as these ladies take it easy on me, I won't be long. Just gotta go in there, measure real quick, and go about my way. I just didn't wanna, go to the hassle, putting the suit on, the face mask on, the gloves on. A lot of work just to get out there. But later on, I'm definitely gonna put them on, so I'm gonna have the box open, crates open, frames out. And I usually have my little smoke canister with me, but I ain't got it with me right now because I feel like I probably won't need it. It looks like something's lifted up that end over there. Let's see what we're looking like. Roughly 20, call that 20. So I could probably get by with, we could buy with 20 inches, we'll leave it at that. I don't always do that. I don't want to risk getting stung. Because once one stings you, it's like they release a pheromone and all the others want to sting you. And we don't want that. So back I was saying to having to get honeybees. After I bought the land, like I said, my plan was to just hang on to it, eventually clear it and build and kind of live off the grid. I received a letter in the mail saying that I had to renew the ag exemption or be liable for about 5 years of back taxes, even though I'm the new landowner. That's one of the clauses that you sign when you get the property. And yep, I didn't realize there was a current ag exemption and until I received that letter in the mail. And so I was kind of in a bind of what to do. The land wasn't cleared, it's not fenced. And depending on the county you're in, depends on the animal that you can have, which qualifies for an ag exemption. I was just under the ag exemption that meets the qualification for cattle. So therefore, I was kind of forced into getting honeybees and their own honeybees. But we're gonna make it work. So I recently applied for the ag exemption back in April. So I started the process already. And I heard back as far as whether I got approved or not, but that's a whole other story I have to talk about. But probably next couple of weeks or so, I'll probably bring it up. Okay, so now we know the length of how long this board has to be. This is the board that's gonna be cut down to, let's say, about right there. And I'm gonna have a frame holder like this one, which is going to just mount right in here. And with another one, it's gonna hold my frames in place as I'm conducting my maintenance and inspections on the bees. But we ran into a problem. I bought this board a while back and just brought it out here to the property and had it thrown underneath some trees. I ordered these things online and I assumed that this gap right here would fit the width of this 2x6, or correction, 1x6, and it doesn't. So I'm gonna do some cutting, at least on the other ones, to get the other one to fit. here's the other one. I figured I'll cut this section off and probably widen this piece right here, and we'll make it work. All right, now that we know the length, let's go ahead and get started. This is what we wanted to complete right here. Something more or less like that. Something that could hold the frames in place. All right, it's about that time. About that time for me to introduce y'all to the ladies. If we're lucky enough, we might spot a queen, but for today, it's all about maintenance. First, gotta get my gear together. I have my suit, gloves, my suit, one important piece of equipment, and this smoke canister. When I got this smoke canister, I bought these pellets, kind of came with it as a kit, these little cylinder looking things. And one thing I noticed about these things is they produce a lot of I'll say like soot maybe, and they burn pretty quick. Now, what are y'all's experience with these things? I decided to go with these barbecue pellets. Now these pellets right here are made by Traeger. And one thing I noticed about this brand when I first used it, just try it out, see how long it lasts compared to these cylinder ones. They last longer. However, once they get heated and start burning, it leaves a lot of resin. And you can see it, you know, all on the outside. It just leaks and pours out. Even on the inside of this, it's the same way. And I got a lot of the honeycomb in here from the previous cleanups, but it just leaves a mess. But it works all right, you know, minus the fact that it leaves a lot of resin everywhere. All right, now my light, these Traeger pellets, you know, we got to have these things. When I first started using this canister, I was using that cylinder pellets, and one thing I noticed was when it burned out real quick, I figured I could get by without using it. It worked all right for the first couple of hives, but I believe my 3rd and 7th hive, they're a rowdy bunch, so I really wasn't able to stay in there long without them wanting to just swarm all over me. So I immediately just grabbed my stuff and got out of there. And so when I decided to switch to this, you know, pellet style, see maybe it lasts longer, and it does, it holds up pretty well. But the compromise is this brand here. Again, I'm not too sure if there's other brands like that, but from what I've seen, this Traeger brand here, it leaves a lot of that resin, but it produces good smoke and it lasts a while. So, something we got to work with. All right, we're here. We're with the ladies. This first box I've noticed these random inspections. Oh, take a look at this. I've noticed these big grasshoppers. They always like to hang out with my bees. No clue. Maybe you all can tell me why. This is completely blank, even on both sides. They're probably still on the bottom. There you go. Same thing, completely blank, both sides. Just gotta be careful not to squash them. And they're probably good not even inspect them. The entire hive is like this. The entire hive hasn't been touched. I'm going to go straight to the second one. This is what I use. This is an ApriGuard. It's like a real strong thyme and oregano scented mite control or preventative. All right, we got the top removed. Like I said, this one here is pretty calm, this group. They aren't as rowdy. You know, they're working, slowly moving. And these outer ones aren't so busy. It's these inner ones that are busy, that are the busiest, that need, you know, most maintenance on them. So here's clean looking both sides. A little bit of material right there we can remove. You know, this stuff right here. Is what we want gone. Try and keep it looking clean. That looks good there. A little bit of build up here. bit there, a little bit on the edge. Other than that, good looking frame, pretty clean. So it's very teeth. This one got some weight to it. You got some honey up top. There's the honeycomb that, that's coming out. That's fine, as long as it's coming out in the center portion. That's fine. We don't want all this build-up access right here, so we got to get rid of that. All these aren't too bad, kind of spread out from what I've researched. Kind of want a tighter pattern, and so we'll make a note about that. But she's still laying, she's still producing, so she's still doing a good job. Queen's still laying eggs. A little sporadic on these ones out there. So let's go in and clean this one up. We just cleaned up a little bit right here. Not too much, just a touch. This part ain't too bad, we get this spot right there. Now one thing I just seen, I'll show you here in a second. This one right here. I don't know if you can see it, but this odd looking one. Now for what I've been told, that's them practicing making another queen, but it's empty, so we ain't got to worry about any kind of fight between queens going on. I think we're safe. Now we're starting to get heavy. We're getting a little bit more of everything. All this excess material we gotta get rid of, all along the edges, especially all that's gotta go. We got some that are close to hatching. That one right there, these ones right there, they're all close to hatching. Let's see how this side looks. This one's very spotty. But for this first hive, we'll say they're active. We'll say the queen's producing. Yeah, let's remove all this material on the outside here. And we want to be careful, because you start doing this and you get this one bee that's around there, you'll end up trapping their legs. Then you got to take the time to kind of pick around it, that way you don't kill them. I'll try not to injure or kill any in this process. Come on, chick. Get out of my way. Got some up top. Again, this is the hardest process right here. Kind of say excuse me to all these bees. Sorry. Shane on this one. But same thing, we got honey, some nectar, some broad. This one ain't too bad, it's gonna clean this one up. Alright, good enough. You see a bunch of larvae in this one. Look real close. There's some larvae right here. Well, that's bee bread. More larvae right in there. I don't see the queen. Clean her up. That portion there, nick one of the honeycombs. They're trying to get the honey back. They ain't playing about their honey. Finally done with hive number 1. Going to speed through this, but I'm going to put the frames back in the box. Going to get everything put back together. Grab the lids, put them back on. Get ready for hive number 2. You don't want to miss this. That one's supposed to happen.